Hi, it's Mark Bossert from Top Local Lead Generation. I'm here with Dr. Nicholas Jenson. He's a naturopath here in Vancouver at Divine Elements Health in Kitsilano. How are you this morning, Nick?
Great, Mark. How you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
So we're going to kind of go over the 5 tips for adrenal support and health. How does
Yeah.
that work?
So yeah, in the last video we talked a lot about how the adrenal dysfunction shows up, and now we're going to address what you can do now to get started. So step one is to really look at the sleep patterns. So when we're getting a good amount of sleep, most of us just look at I got 5, 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep at night, and that's the end of the story. The reality is that's just the beginning of the story, because the number of hours are really critical when you're looking at the actual timing of sleep. So it takes about 90 minutes to get into a deep delta stage of sleep, and that's 2 cycles of REM. And in that 90 minutes is basically where we allow our body to get deep enough in order to trigger restoration. So if we're looking at hormonal secretion throughout the day and the night, melatonin's peak release is from midnight until 3 in the morning. And so many of us are night owls, and we stay up way later than we need to, and so we actually bypass this really critical rhythm that's happening in our bodies. So ideal bedtime, I tell all my patients, is to try not to go to bed any later than 10:30. And if you do, it's possibly at the detriment of melatonin secretion. So once melatonin secretes, melatonin allows for growth hormone to circulate in the system. Growth hormone's basically doing everything for repair. Melatonin is an important antioxidant. Growth hormone basically triggers all the sex hormones, recycles all the catecholamines, which are the stress hormones. It allows your body to get into a deep state of relaxation and basically repair and rebuild. Roughly around 5:30 or 6 in the morning is when cortisol should come up, and that's our get up and go hormone. So for most people, when we're burning the candle both ends by working too much, not enough relaxation, not enough sleep, then we're really creating major fluctuations in our cortisol and greatly suppressing our growth hormone melatonin. So that's step one. Any thoughts on that, Mark?
Well, I know that I've been struggling for 57 years to go to bed earlier, and I'm doing it finally.
Yeah.
And like last night, I only had 6 hours sleep, but I was in bed at 10 and sleeping by 10:30.
Yeah.
And even though I woke up at 4:30, I spent a couple hours fruitfully meditating, and I feel great,
That's
quite
awesome.
honestly. So, most days that would be a recipe for being over caffeinated and
Yeah.
my ass dragging by and I haven't had any caffeine today, so I feel great. So I believe you.
Yeah. And what you're speaking to is actually the ideal scenario, because when we allow ourselves to wake up before sunrise kicks in, every ancient culture talks about getting up when the veil is the thinnest, and this is really the time where our natural hormonal secretions can really serve us, or we can sleep in, and it can be to our detriment. So that's a big one. So good for you. That's fantastic.
Awesome.
So step two is looking at sugar. Everybody knows about sugar. Sugar is a major contributor to adrenal fatigue and burnout. So the biggest reason is because sugar triggers a cortisol response. It triggers a rise in our stress hormone. As soon as that goes up, our cravings go up, insulin goes up, and so what all the insulin is basically doing is taking sugar from your blood and it's pumping it into fat cells, and so we put on weight. What happens over time, as we produce more and more of the belly fat, which is a hormonal expression of our weight, is as those fat cells actually start to secrete more of the cortisol as well, and basically the cycle just keeps repeating itself. When we take in more sugar, we build more fat, we build more stress hormone, and we stop feeling like ourselves. So that's a big one. Step three is looking at the basic nutrients for adrenal repair. That's vitamin C. So I usually recommend for everybody in general take anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 milligrams per day, especially if there's an adrenal depletion going on. B5 is extremely critical for adrenal function. Magnesium is another important one, which we usually recommend people dose at nighttime. Anywhere from 400 to 600 milligrams is usually fine. And then there's the amino acids. All the amino acids are really critical. There's a couple that are a little more important, like tyrosine. So those are the basic adrenal nutrients. Most people have had an experience of taking B vitamins for increasing energy. This is just kind of fine-tuning a little bit more. Step 3, or step 4 I should say, would be looking at the adaptogenic herbs. So an adaptogen is basically a herb that helps you adapt to your stress. So we see so many people in our clinic who are shift workers, and they're working, again, late into the evening, and they're sleeping through the day. And these are people that absolutely should be on some sort of adaptogenic herb and definitely supporting their adrenal glands. But all that really is just a glorified going to bed too late. And so anybody who's going to bed too late is going to eventually suffer. So the major adaptogenic herbs are withania, ginseng, rhodiola, Luthercoccus, which is another form of ginseng, tribulus. There's many different adaptogenic herbs, and those are some of the more common ones. Have you heard of any of these, or is this kind of Greek to you or Latin?
No, I've used ginseng in the past, and different kind, and tribulus at times when I was trying to gain weight.
Yeah. So they all play a slightly different role in the body, but each of them, depending on what your symptom profile looks like, would have a different role to play. So this is why it's always great to seek professional advice when seeking adrenal support. The last one is possibly the most important one, and this is just R&R. So we take for granted how much the mind plays a role on shutting down the body. And most of us live in our heads, and we live in our worries, and we live in future time, and we forget about the connection that we need to reestablish with our bodies. And so yoga, meditation, tai chi, qigong, you name it, there's a ton of different things out there that help to reconnect the mind-body. And if that's something that people can do on a regular basis, that would be phenomenal. There's definitely something to be said for going to the gym and lifting weights, and that's fantastic as well. What we see in our culture, and I know you've seen this in whether or not it's in your own family or yourself, is that overexercise can actually greatly contribute to adrenal fatigue as well. And you see many people pushing it at work, pushing it in all their fun and activities, and then pushing it harder at the gym. And these people have a difficult time putting on lean muscle, and that's a huge sign that they're in a catabolic state, which means that the cortisol is not being metabolized properly in the body. So there's definitely, you can't say enough about rest and relaxation, stimulating the brain to get into that deep theta and delta state, and tuning out all the negative thought processes that we all are so well trained to do. And I know you've got some amazing tools that you use yourself, Mark, and you know, that may be another whole other video that we should go into. But you're tapping into some pretty neat stuff with helping to regulate brainwave function and tuning the mind-body together. And you know, I would love to hear more about what you have to say on that.
Well, it's something I've played with for years. I don't claim to be any kind of expert about it, but you know, having struggled with an extremely busy mind, as I'm sure many other people have, you know, I had to, just for self-preservation, I had to find some kind of relief. And you know, rather than trying to use drugs or alcohol, which is sort of a stopgap or fallback position for a lot of folks, I explored other things as well. And you know, those I found over time worked a lot better and were a lot better for me, quite honestly. And as I get older, I appreciate them even more. You know, I started when I was pretty young, in my late teens, with meditation and stuff. But you know, now it's like, you know, it has to be part of my day, pretty much.
Well, that's great. You know, we always love connecting with patients who are either on the verge of being open to that, or people who are seasoned at keeping that into their lifestyle. Because so many of us are using, you know, coffee, which can be a great support, or using alcohol, which can, you know, be fun socially, as crutches, and we use these things to help us sleep or help us get going in the day, and then we look for medications and things to help us keep some level of sanity in the form of an antidepressant or whatnot. And the reality is that we're just burning ourselves out even more. So when we can start to slowly implement these things, these are amazing tools. And time again, every single patient will say this if they've never done it before: I'm the person who can't meditate. I cannot do this. My mind is too busy. Well, welcome to being a human. Everybody has a busy mind. Everyone's got the monkey mind. you have to start somewhere. And the process that I always tell people for meditation isn't to be in this blissed out state, is to kind of work through some of the garbage that comes up and allow yourself to have some slightly less level of insane activity that happens so regularly through the day. So really, it's just a starting point, and it's no different than brushing your teeth. It's something that should be implemented daily.
Exactly. I agree. 100%.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. I want to ask you about magnesium for a second, because one of the things that I have been using for the last few months is, well, they call it magnesium oil. It's basically magnesium put in, or citrate, or magnesium, seabed magnesium,
Yeah.
from Holland that's been put into water. And like, I woke up this morning, I was doing a lot of manual work on the weekend, and so I woke up and I was quite sore. So a few spritzes of that on the back of my legs and my lower back, like I said, a couple hours of meditation, I wake up and I'm not sore anymore. And that's something I've consistently seen, is that it will help. I don't know if it flushes out the lactic acid or helps repair tissue. I'm not sure, but it works to reduce that kind of muscle pain. Have you experimented with that kind of stuff at all, or prescribed
Definitely.
that?
A magnesium oil will work differently for different people. I find some people who have slightly cleaner diets and have less of an inflammatory load overall tend to do really well with magnesium oil, where other people who have a little bit maybe more compromised detoxification mechanisms may need slightly higher dosing orally. But magnesium is one of those cofactors that are used in almost every enzyme reaction in the body. It's so ubiquitous and diffuse throughout our bodies, and it's also one of the ones that becomes deficient the most. So, I mean, it plays a role in muscle contraction, relaxation. It plays a role in dilating blood vessels. It helps with detoxification. It helps with, again, energy. So through the adrenal system. So I mean, it's.
We've lost Dr. Nick again. So that's it for this week. We'll talk with Dr. Nick next week again. Thank you.